playing it.
Well, as you have been clearing your backlog, I have been basically queuing up my backlog because I got to play a game that isn't even out yet. Shout out to Ubisoft. Shout out to the Ubisoft Creators Program for allowing me and many other creators out there to get an early hands-on preview with a remote event. I got to play some Star Wars Outlaws for the first time. This was really cool. It was like a remote event where pretty much I got in a Discord call and I connected to one of their servers and I was just playing the game, streaming it to my computer. It was running at a solid frame rate. Visuals looked good. And I got to just play the game for 4 hours. 4 hours of gameplay, dude. It was a legit chunk of time. It was like 11 to 3 or something like that, but it was great. So yeah, again, shout out to Ubisoft for allowing me to do that. On screen right now, I'm not showing any of my personal gameplay, but I did record I did get the whole session recorded and they sent it to me. But just to be safe, because there are some things that are still under NDA, I can't show like certain menus, certain screens, certain cutscenes and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna have a trailer on the screen for right now. For people who are watching in post of this highlight, I will also post a video of me maybe going a little bit more in depth of my specific moments of gameplay and things like that as well, and showing my personal gameplay. But for now, I'm just going to talk about the game over a trailer. So, 3 hours with the game, TLDR. It is a Star Wars game being worked on with some of the team of the Division games, so it's a third-person shooter in the Star Wars universe. If you like the Star Wars video games that have already existed, like Fallen Order, freaking Star Wars Survivor, games like that, or Jedi Survivor rather, this one isn't like you're playing as a Jedi. You're literally more of like a Han Solo type of situation where you are literally a bounty hunter. You are someone who is in the grit of all these different factions, and like there's the people that work for this one faction that's under Jabba the Hutt. There's this other faction of people that are like more down to the ground and like are kind of imperial, and you can work for them. Or there's other people that are more just like they literally just take whatever bounties available. Or there's like a more like Asian centric type of clan of people that are out there. I'm not sure if they're actually related to like another group of people in the Star Wars universe. I'm not too big on the Star Wars lore, but I love the vibes of the universe of Star Wars, so I'm already in on this game in general, even if it's just in that world in general. You're playing as a character, female pro tag, shout out, called Kay Vess, and she has this very marketable little axolotl quadrupedal character that she has with her named Nyx, which is like basically her little partner dog character that's very also handy. Kay fights using her fists and also her blaster, which you can put different mods on, where it's like it'll be like a regular like pistol or freaking magnum type of thing, but then you can also put like mods on it which will do like set phasers to stun, so you can stun like star troopers or enemies, or it'll do more damage, so you maybe instead of like 2-3 shots it'll like kill someone in one shot. There's also actual space combat, which is pretty good. Like she has her own ship that she gets acquired, where she ends up having like her own like Millennium Falcon thing to go from planet to planet. She has a speeder bike, which is really cool. So it's like in the area that I was playing in, she woke up on the ship, and then there was this other dude that ended up helping her do repairs. And he was like, I need you to get some money and some parts for the ship so I can do the repairs. You need to go into this town, pick up some jobs, talk to some people, get some cash so we can get this going. So then she hopped on the speeder bike, headed into town, and there was like all sorts of points of interest on the map in that area. Like there was like a rundown building connected to a gas station, and I went in there, and there were like these animals that were just like taking lodge in that building, and they were just like hovering around me as I was walking around and salvaging things. There was a person that also was like driving down the street, and they also had a speeder bike, and they were like, hey, do you want to race me? So you can also do like speeder races and stuff like that, like motorcycle races. The open areas, I'm assuming like basically every major planet that you're going to go to is going to be more open area rather than like a No Man's Sky situation where it's like seamless loading from surface to sky. It's more so like you get in your ship, you take off, and then there's like the artificial loading screen where it's like you're breaking through the atmosphere, but that's clearly a loading screen. And then you're in space, open area in space until you get to a planet. Then you can go down, breaking through the atmosphere, then you're on another planet. And each area is huge. Like, you have your bike to get from point A to point B, but there's still plenty of spots to see. Each area kind of has that Ubisoft open world aesthetic going on, where you do have like a pair of binoculars where you can kind of Far Cry-ish, maybe Assassin's Creed-ish, mark enemies, mark points of interest, so you can go to those places, explore, you'll find things. When I was playing my session, before I got to the town, I saw a mountain, and I was like, I'm gonna go up that mountain. So I went over there, and then there was like a cave. Like, you can see it, you can get there. So I like went up there. There was like a path, and then there was like some rocks I could climb. So I hopped off my bike and climbed, and then I was hoofing it on foot. Found like another area that was like a tunnel that I could get through, and it was kind of like a built into the world puzzle situation to get to certain areas. Then I got like certain unlocks that way. So there's a lot of exploration involved, not just all interior corridors and waist-high walls. When I got to the town itself, it was very dense marketplace of like a lot of NPCs talking to each other. It's kind of Assassin's Creed-y in that way, where you're walking, minding your business, but then out of earshot you can hear two NPCs talking about something, and it's like, it could be irrelevant, but also it's just interesting to just hear what the people in this world are talking about, so you can do that too. There's these cool areas, like I like when video games do this, where it's just you're in this building, there's a vista, it says press B to lean, and you just lean and you look out, and it's just and the camera pulls back and it gets fucking letterboxed, and it's just a really good view. And I was like, oh, this is good shot for me. Look at the money we spent. I was like, look at it. So that was real cool. But also just the interactions with the different factions is a really big part of this game, since it's basically you're starting out as a nobody and you're trying to become somebody, you're trying to make it. Like, her whole thing is she just basically wants to make it. She wants to be her Han, she wants to have her Han Solo situation. They don't really mention Han, but I'm like using that as a comparison for people. But she wants to just end up getting some money. She wants to be happy. She wants to live with her little axolotl Nix and just get a nice spot and just chill. But to do that, you gotta play dirty sometimes. So you're interacting with the different factions. You're picking up jobs, and inside of like the different major marketplaces and hub areas on these planets, there's certain areas that are factioned off. So it's like, if you're a part of this one faction, you can just walk on through. But if you're not, they're gonna like stop. There's like specific entrances that you can use to get into this area, and there's like guards there. And then if you try to walk in, they'll be like, "Hey, no, you can't come through here. You gotta back up." And then you can't go through. But there's always a B entrance to these areas where it's like, oh, maybe there's a room with a vent, maybe like 50 feet that way, and then you just go through the vent. But now you're in a restricted area, so if someone catches you, they'll kick you out. So now it's kind of a stealthy situation where you're crouching, you're silently taking out people using melee moves and things like that. You're not using your blaster, stuff like that. You can also use Nix to distract people, so you can be like, hey, go over there, cause a distraction, I'll sneak up behind them, hit them, and knock them out and stuff like that. Or you can have Nix go up to people, attack them himself, and it won't raise any alarms or anything. Or you can also have Nix basically be your third arm, where he can press buttons, steal things from people, bring things to you, do all sorts of or maybe go through tunnels, hit buttons, do all the type of stuff. So it's basically like a really handy assist character. So definitely people are gonna love Nix. Very marketable.
I can't wait to see a Nix marketable plushie.
Oh, definitely.
I do want to ask you, David, because you did play relatively recently, you watched the Star Wars. I
watched the original and the prequel trilogy. This one takes place after the third movie in the original trilogy. So it's after the Death Star blows up. That's the third one, right? No, it's after the third movie. After the third movie of the original trilogy. Between those things. So yeah, that's where it is on the timeline. if anything, if that means something to Star Wars fans that are more knowledgeable than I am. But
so
that's...
You feel like this is a game...
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so you feel like this is a game that you don't have to be super well versed into the Star Wars universe?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Which is great, because me personally, I'm just like, I like the world of Star Wars, but I personally could give less of a shit about the Sith and the Jedi at this point. We've been doing it for so long. It's just cool to be a new face that's an original character that's just in the thick of it, you know, like getting to know different original characters, getting to know different races of characters, and just being in like the muddy underbelly of things that isn't just the Empire and the Sith and the Jedi and all that type of stuff. Like, this is a whole different area of Star Wars that I don't think we explore that often. Or maybe we do. Honestly, I don't watch the shows, but...
Honestly, I feel that when it comes to like original IPs like this that are so well established, like Star Wars, like Game of Thrones, like Harry Potter, shit like that, I've always been more of a fan of like, hey, you're either playing as your own OC, you make it like you give their background, you make their design, all that good shit, or in this case, hey, here's this character that we made, like kind of a self-insert in a way, but we're throwing you into the thick of it, in the thick of the politics, in the thick of all that. There's no Jedi or Sith to worry about per se. It's, okay, like you said, these factions that you've got to worry about siding on, dealing with reputation, basically trying to survive and make ends meet. Like, I prefer stories like this be told in game and in movie form, because we don't always have to follow like the direct canon. Like, what about this lone bounty hunter in
this thing that's happening in a different part of the galaxy that happens to be like, people are living their own lives in the world of Star Wars. They don't got to be the same characters we recognize all the time. And I feel like this is something for those people who are like, I like the world of Star Wars. I don't care about nothing of Star Wars. I just want to be in this world and maybe shoot a couple stormtroopers. And that's exactly what you're doing. And it's so good for that.
So basically, you're saying this is given just like, with the development teams that got their hands on it, it's just straight up a mix of Division and Assassin's Creed when it comes to like combat and exploration.
It's a solid third-person action game with stealth elements, because you do have to be stealthy in certain places. It's like you can take options to go into an area loud, or you can be quiet until you mess it up, and then you got to go loud. Like, if you can get to this door without setting off any alarms, you can just get in. But then if you set off alarms, now the door's shut. Now you got to fight everyone until the door can open. Those type of things. But also there's, with the factions too, this is another big feature of the game, is every faction has their own like respect meter. Basically, it's like once you become friends with the initial person or the initial connect of that faction, you're already cool with them to an extent, so then you can be in their area. But then the more missions you do that favor that faction, then you'll gain more respect with that faction. Then you'll maybe unlock certain customizable things for K, like a new gun or new clothes or something for Nyx as well. But you can also unlock like special missions specifically that you will get assigned from that faction as well. But you can choose to not go with that certain faction and screw them over in favor of getting favor with another faction. Like, I was doing one mission where Faction A put me on a mission, and then Faction B found me halfway through the mission and was like, hey, can you do this thing for us? This will help us out, but it'll also screw over Faction A. So you'll gain, but also lose something. So then it's like a relationship thing that you're kind of juggling. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be a big replayability thing, because it'll be like, oh, I did this run, and I was like really good conditions with the Hutt cartel. But like, when I went through this other playthrough, I was like really good with like these other people with like this other faction that's in the game. So it's going to be a very replayable situation. The person I was doing the demo with was like, it is possible to be in favor with everyone. You just got to really kind of, it might be a 2 playthrough game, to be honest, but we'll see where we're at. But I'm really digging what I played so far.
Kind of get like the Fallout vibes, where it's like you can side with the Brotherhood of Steel, or you can side with the Minuteman, and what you do will decide what happens.
Yep.
Another faction. Or you just say, okay, I'm going to be like or if you want to go like the D&D route, like, okay, I want to be a lawful good. You're going to do everything absolutely right. You're going to make the right moral choice. or I'm gonna be chaotic evil and just like, okay, oh, that's the right thing to do. I'm gonna do the exact opposite. So I feel like you can just keep playing the same game but get a different story each time, which is dope.
Yeah. So yeah, personally, if I had to give it a hype rating out of 10, I'd say I'm like an 8. I already was interested in this game already because it's just a third-person shooter, outlaw, bounty hunter, Star Wars game, but definitely I'm really cemented in. I'm excited for this game now. Comes out late August, so I think it's like around PAX time when this game comes out in the first place, but yeah, I'm at like at least 8 out of 10. Solid excited for this game. I'm probably going to roll credits on this, honestly. I'm excited to get back into it and just be in this world and experience everything that there has to be. So I'm sold on it. Definitely looking forward to it. If you're into Star Wars in general, like if you've seen the movies, if you liked Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, and you play like Force Unleashed, if you've been playing the Star Wars video games up to this point, you might as well play this. Because honestly, like, Ubisoft is doing a great job with this, so I think this is one that you shouldn't miss, for sure. If you're a Star Wars fan, or even if you just like the vibes of the world of Star Wars. So yeah, that's my, those are my preview thoughts that I can at least talk about right now without showing things. But like I said, check out YouTube. I'll be posting my actual gameplay and maybe going in a little bit more detail, cross-referencing my footage and stuff later.